Hello everyone and welcome to our very first episode. I'm Parvina and I'm here with Fabio and
Hi.
We are here discussing negotiations and Falk Academy. To give you a little bit more context, I am a project manager at Falk Academy. I was helping build the whole entire project and now company. And here I have with me the founder and CEO of Falk Academy, Fabio. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. As I said, and maybe just to get that straight, she really sold herself short. She's not just a project manager, she's the whole brain behind Falk Academy. I just sit here and look smart, but everything that goes on in the background, that's actually Parvina. So thank you for having me, or I'm having you. We will see how this goes on.
It's too humble.
My name is Fabio, as you said. I am the founder of the Falk Academy. I've been working for the Schranner Negotiation Institute here in Zurich for the past 8 years. And I think we're going to take a deeper dive into what the Falk Academy is and what we want to achieve during this podcast. If I understood it correctly.
Exactly. So why don't we just start off with a little bit more background before we dive into our project. So you say that you were part of the Schranner negotiation for more than 8 years. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience? What are you exactly doing there? And how was your overall experience in the past few years summed up to get Falk Academy?
Sure. So I started as a program coordinator, which is really the bottom of the ladder here in the Negotiation Institute. I was doing just admin stuff, calling clients, taking care of participants, all the more administrative part of the work.
Right.
And over the time, as the institute grew, obviously there was COVID, was a big hit for us as educational provider. But after COVID, we had a new team, we rescaled again, which meant for me to be a program manager then. Then I had the first program for young professional actually, which was called the Young Professionals Negotiator. Just grew with the role and it happened, one step led to another, and I became CFO 3 years ago. So I was responsible for all the finances here at the Schranner Negotiation Institute.
And that ladder, nice.
Yeah, it was from the bottom. Last year I became COO. So we have a lot of entities here in the Schranner Negotiation Institute, and one of them is the Falk Academy. And Falk Academy is my way of giving back, I'd say, because as you said, I climbed the ladder. That's why I want to, with you together, create the Falk Academy so that we make this amazing topic, negotiation, accessible for you and for us as a younger generation. If we do a good job here, hopefully you'll see my excitement for this topic, my enthusiasm about negotiations, and I think we also caught you along the way. So this will be a very nerdy, geeky podcast on negotiation. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I love it. So quickly, right before we put a full deep dive into Falk,
Yes.
Would you just be able to enlighten our audience about Schranner Negotiation Institute? What are they? Who are they? What gives them authority? Just a little few things.
Love it, sure. So we are the authority when it comes to tough negotiation. We were founded 20 years ago by our CEO, Matthias Schranner. He used to be a hostage negotiator, or he negotiated with hostage takers. And so he was working with the law enforcement, with the DEA in Germany, and he translated the knowledge that he got from those crisis negotiations into business. And he's been doing that very successfully over the past 20 years. And that's what we do. We are a concept, a negotiation concept that's very different to what you normally see, because we don't come from theory, we come from a practical background. So actually everything that we teach was tested on the streets, as we call it, and then put into a concept, not the other way around.
That is
I think
really cool.
Talk more about that.
I mean, it's really awesome to get this kind of background because it really goes to show that, Falk Academy being this new sort of entity, it's really not just theory-based, something that you get from a textbook. It's like actual actionable steps that people can take, and I think that's what sets it apart from so many other, educational platforms out there that go in this similar direction. So, anyway, it's really cool.
And sorry,
Yes,
because that's a big misconception that many people have, that negotiation is something that you have in your gut feeling, or it's like a talent. There are people who are made for it, and excuse my French, but that's bullshit. Negotiation is actually a craft that you can learn, and with the tiniest adjustments in strategy and tactical approach of negotiation, you can get a long way. And again, Falk Academy, our goal here is to not make you the best negotiators in the world, right? You won't be able to negotiate the big peace negotiations, but that's not the goal here, right?
Exactly.
We want to give out accessible or relatable tactics that help you in your day-to-day life and to become better negotiators.
Exactly.
Overall.
Exactly. And I think, just to add on to that, this trait is not very popular. It's not seen as like this very big area of expertise which people can go into. It's more so seen as this very intimidating, very exclusive sort of craft, you could say. And I think a lot of people, especially of our age, in our generation, they kind of get intimidated when they think of negotiations. They just think it's for the boardrooms, and they just think that it's something that is so far out of reach, or that it just really they don't need in everyday life. If you could say one thing to those kind of people that have this idea of it, what would it be?
I mean, there are many things I would love to say.
5-hour rant.
I'd say don't be shy to embrace the conflict. So conflict is nothing bad. Conflict is actually, if you do it correctly, if you handle it correctly, it's something really powerful. And I think there are so many different approaches to negotiation, right? And you coming from the US and me from Germany, we have two completely different understandings of negotiation. So for typically, right? So that's what our research shows, that like the American negotiators, they see negotiating more as a game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They can separate the topic from the person. It's like just we get in there, we play hard, but afterwards we also have a beer together.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's part of the game, right?
Yeah.
In Germany and in the DACH region in general, I'd say it's always like a have to negotiate. It's nothing pleasant. So we have a lot of discomfort when it comes to conflicts. So my tip would be don't be shy of the conflict and actually embrace it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this is a great segue now, because we wanted to go also a little bit deeper about Falk Academy, talk really about what that is, what we do, who we serve, all of this stuff. Regarding, negotiation as a craft that people can learn, how did this whole idea for Falk Academy start? Because it's not something that happens overnight.
That's, and without you, it would take even longer. No, actually, so as I said, for me, it has been a huge privilege to be in this position, to be here with the Schranner Negotiation Institute. And a big benefit that comes with the role is that I have a great network of experts that work with us or for the Institute even. And I thought it's a pity that we as the younger generation, we are the negotiators of tomorrow, right? So we should be able to negotiate, and we shouldn't let, again, it's very biased thinking, I guess, but we shouldn't let the old white man decide for our future, but we should take actions ourselves, and for that we need the tools, and the tool being negotiation, right? So with Falk Academy, I wanted to take my network and open it for the younger generation and make it, again, accessible, not only the network, but the topic itself accessible for us and for you.
Wow.
But maybe if I know you wanted to ask me a lot of questions, but you've been part of the team for almost half a year now, right?
Yeah.
So you've been very closely connected, and you met everyone. And what changed in your life since you learned negotiation the way we understand it?
No, actually, honestly, a lot has. And I know I'm trying to be as unbiased and as observant as I can here, but really after, filming also all of the courses that we did with Fabio, I was there filming, doing the editing and stuff. So a lot of it really got ingrained in my head. And for me, it was just really great to see, because after doing all this editing and going through this process of being there with you and learning actively, I noticed I was actually able to recall a lot of the tactics and the frameworks that were taught in the negotiation courses that we do. And that was to me quite surprising, because I'm not somebody that remembers things very quickly. And I thought, if people, I'm one of the people that are more skeptical towards things like this, where it's sort of like this skill that you have to learn rather than just some random theory, right? Theory is easier to learn because it's just something you remember, but to actually learn applicable knowledge is a complete superpower. And it's really cool that we were able to do that here at Falk Academy, because I was able to learn the knowledge and then apply it in my real life. I can go, just now I was on vacation with some friends, and We went to Cologne for Carnival, and you know, things, even small things like negotiating, oh, what are we gonna do, where are we gonna eat, when everyone has all these different ideas. It's just so cool to have a much more organized mindset around that, and a much more, like, you're able to apply these crazy frameworks that can be used in these higher stakes negotiations. That's what Schranner does. But you can also apply that to your real life, and you can see really the difference and the change of what it was like. So I think it's really, really cool from my perspective to see myself develop in this area, you know? Yeah.
Agreed, and I think that's what's so interesting about negotiation, right? It's something that it's a craft that you can use in any situation. So the other day we were shooting our new cooking show,
Yes.
which is called No Meal, No Deal, with Matthias Schranner, so with our founder and CEO. And if I recall correctly, he had a very interesting statement where he said, it doesn't matter if you negotiate against a hostage negotiator, a peace negotiation, or with your family at home, it's always the same, right? So it's the same mistakes. It's always about emotions. It's about expectations which are not met. And it's like the concept of negotiation is omnipresent almost,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
it's interesting, and I know it seems scripted, but we actually have never talked
Yes,
about this.
literally, we've never talked about this until this point.
So
Okay,
it's
cool.
good to know that you, or nice to hear that you also have that experience.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I think when you're like surrounded by such a force of this that we have here, also at Schranner, which Falk Academy is a spin-off of, it's so, you see more and more how evident negotiation really is in your life, and to be able to be a part of that whole journey, building this academy, I can truly see the value that we can bring to people's lives, and I honestly have nothing better to say than just try it. Just try it and see how it could transform your life. You just have to take the knowledge and apply it, because knowledge by itself is not enough. Applied knowledge is where it's at, and we also do the application part because we're awesome. No, but seriously, it's really, really cool.
Amazing.
But yeah, so to quickly wrap up the whole, how did the Falk Academy start? Approximately how long ago was it that you guys started conceptualizing such a idea?
I would like to say like 4 years. So it was around COVID, when COVID hit, because that's when we started digging into like the digital trainings field. But yeah, so the idea has been around for a while, but we didn't really manage to position it the way we wanted it. And now with you being in the team, with Anastasia being in the team, like we built a whole new team. And it's not just a project that Pravina is managing here. She's really creating a product which is very disruptive in our bubble, because no one wants to share the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And
Gatekeeping is a very big thing.
Gatekeeping is a big thing, and we thought, like, screw that. We are gonna make what we can best accessible and help in that way.
Yeah.
So
to get a more comprehensive understanding about Falk, can you guide us through a little bit of what the actual academy looks like? Because people just hear the word academy maybe tossed around too much, and I just want to really preface that we are an actual academy and that we are, having more than just a few courses online.
Sure, it would be my pleasure. So we have the core offerings, which is where you start in the Falk Academy. So the first course you have to do is the Foundations of Negotiation, where I will be your trainer, and we have a lot of experts bringing in their perspectives on what I say. So don't take my word for it, take the experts' word for it. And this is really, it's a short course. It's really just the basics, and again, the basics bring you a long way, right?
Yeah.
So it's the Foundations of Negotiation, where you get the fundamentals of the Schranner concept of the negotiation approach that we follow here. After that, you should do the deep dive into tactics, which is led by a good friend of mine, Andrew Kohlrieser. He worked in Washington on Capitol Hill, so for the US government. He has a lot of great insights, great examples. This is a more profound course, I would say. It's a bit longer. It's more, as its name says, right? It's a deep dive. So after that, you are well equipped for most of the negotiations out there. And as Pravina said in the beginning, knowledge is only knowledge if you practice it. So we have our Falk Arena, which is the third and the last step of the core offerings. And in the Falk Arena, you will have the chance to put your knowledge, your skills into practice. So we will have virtual negotiation simulations where you negotiate against other alumni or against other participants. And after you finish the Falk Arena, you will have successfully finished the core offerings, exactly, or the core courses.
You have a comprehensive idea of what negotiation is and how it looks like, and this is going to give you a very rounded out knowledge base about negotiation, and you can then apply it very easily in your everyday life.
What she said. And, and so in 2026, we will launch our majors program. And this is where the academy really comes to life. We're currently planning and working on 3 majors, which is communications and psychology. So again, another deep dive into the topic of negotiations, so really to understand what is happening in your brain when you negotiate, and what are tactics that you can actually improve on by knowing what's going on in your head. And the other side said, which is equally as important. Then the second major is entrepreneurship and leadership. So for all of the very ambitious people among you who want to found a startup or actually already founded it, this will help you to negotiate venture deals with VCs, business angels, you name it, no matter if you're pre-seed, seed, or any phase technically of a startup. And the third is politics and diplomacy, where we take a look into international affairs. So what is happening on the global stage of negotiation? How is that different from business negotiations? And the goal is to build up on those majors, to introduce more and more majors over the time, but starting 2026, we will have those 3 ready for you.
Exactly. And we really want to make it so that you see how negotiation is specifically applied in all these different areas and verticals. And then you can truly see the outcome-based scenarios, and you can also learn from all of these experts that we'll be bringing on, each at the top of their field. And they will share with you their experiences of how negotiation has impacted their careers and lives. So it's a really, really cool thing that we're working on. I'm super excited for the launch. So yes, please stay tuned for 2026 when we come out with those.
I love it.
Cool. Okay, so now let's dive into the really juicy stuff.
Enough sales pitches. Now let's get. We had to scratch off the list, so boom. Now it's done. Let's get into the topics.
Yes. Okay, so Fabio, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I'm going to start off with actually a very big question. You being now having quite the strides in your career so far. How does leadership look like for you? Because you have had to take on such a big role at a younger age than most people do. How did this manifest in, the obstacles or the triumphs that you've had in your career so far?
That's a good question, and I'm going to be very honest with you. I think my biggest asset in being so young and being in this position is that I know that I don't know anything. So I really believe in, I only want to work with people who are better than me. So if you look around, being you with Falk, with Elias behind the camera, with Philip, who is not here, but he's our IT guy. You guys in your field, you're way better than I could ever be. And I think that from a leadership perspective is very important, that I know that I don't know anything. And I try to surround myself with people who know.
Yeah, that's actually really, really good, because I feel like so many times, especially when you get such a big role at a younger age than most, it's that you get either like really, really insecure or really, really arrogant about it, and then it kind of manifests in very bad ways. And I think like you've done a phenomenal job, like leading a whole team of how many people are we, like 20, 25? Like
for the whole institute. Globally, we're around 50 people. So if you count all the trainers who work for us and with us, we're around 50 people. But here in Zurich, full time, it's around 25 now.
Now, that's really insane, because he's really managing all of the operations, and I mean that's of course your role, right? But it's crazy how much you're handling all at once. Do you have like one piece of advice for people that want to go up the ladder a similar way that you did, and maybe a lesson that you've learned being in such a leadership position?
I think it would be arrogant for me to say like that's the way how it works, because again, I was in a very comfortable situation that I joined Schranner where it was pre-COVID. It was like there was one company, but during COVID it changed completely, and a lot of people had to go. And fortunately, I was cheap enough back then to be kept on the payroll. So I was just at the right
place
spot,
at the right time.
Thank you, right place at the right time, and really grew with the company, I'd say. But yeah, I think
really cool.
as you said, like don't be intimidated by the role. Accept that that's a challenge, and I always try to, because I'm not a big fan of fear, being afraid of something, but having a lot of respect for it or about it. No, but actually not being afraid of a challenge. Again, not being afraid of a conflict. Maybe to close the circle here, but having respect for whatever it, acknowledging that it will be a challenge. It won't be easy, but if as soon as you're afraid, you limit yourself, right? So as soon as you think you can't do it, your mindset is already there. Like I can't do it. If you only have respect, you know it can still be done, but you're not naive in approaching the challenge.
That's really. I want to highlight that again, because that's such a key word that you just said. You're not also very naive in approaching a challenge. Not being scared of something doesn't mean that you're not scared about it because you're naive to it. It's because you are choosing to come from a place of respect, come from a place of, moving forward, rather than just blindly going after something and not being fully thought out. And I think that's just something that you in general want to avoid. So now that we've talked about, leadership and your whole entire experience here, I think this has been a very good intro for you guys and all of us to get to know Fabio. If I could ask you one last question, and it would be, what role did negotiation play directly in your life? What is something that you have, once acquiring that skill, have been able to most elevate, would you say?
Well, that's a small question for the end. Well, let me think about that.
Of course, take your time.
I mean, obviously there's been some negotiations in the business context where you have sales negotiation or internal negotiations even, which obviously just knowing some techniques help you, right? But I think what's really changed my perception of it was, and I think you already said that earlier, when you know what's going on, you have an eye for it. So no matter if you're on vacation with your friends in Cologne for Carnival, or if you have a fight with your girlfriend or boyfriend at home, you see the patterns, and that helps. So I think we covered in the deep dive into tactics. We have the behavioral change staircase model, which is very universal. So it's not just for negotiations. It helps you in any situation where it comes to where you have to face an emotional counterpart, and again, doesn't matter if it's your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mom, your dad, your siblings, who knows, who cares, but just having the tools and being because of having the tools, being more comfortable in the conflict and being comfortable with addressing conflict. I think it just gives you the backbone to stand up for yourself. And, again, no matter if it's in a family or in a corporate situation, negotiating your salary or standing up to a bully, whatever. There's so many perspectives you can take from here. And I think that's what changed. It wasn't the techniques itself, it was the awareness of what negotiations are.
I love that. That was very powerful. Well, thank you. That was actually really, really insightful. I am very looking forward to the next episodes that we'll have, because we're going to dive, even more deeper into the whole topic of negotiation and how it manifests with experts and that we decide to bring on to this show.
So maybe just to put it into context as well, it's not going to be us in the podcast forever, right? So we already have expert podcasts aligned, and we want to have a nice mix of having an educational background, so that you actually learn something, and I will learn hopefully something when I talk to the experts, but having it in a more chilled atmosphere where really it's not so stiff. And we all know, we've watched so many podcasts and courses where it's just you don't buy it, right? It's so scripted, and I just want this whole Falk Academy to be very community driven as well. So I don't want to play anything for you, right? I'm this guy, I sit here, you can ask me anything, reach out to me, you can reach out to Parvina, and we're here, and we're more than happy to engage in any conversations. And that's just being said, because that's very important for me, that we don't do again, sorry, excuse the French, but I think it's just a beautiful word, that we don't want to bullshit here and sell something that we don't stand for. And
definitely.
So what can we expect from this podcast in the future?
So there was a question from the off. What can you expect from this podcast? We will have, as Pravina said, we will have experts here, which we will interview or have engaging conversations with, and you will get a lot of insights from different industries. So we will have politicians, we will have diplomats, we will have entrepreneurs, we have many different approaches to this, and obviously negotiation experts. Many different perspectives to this topic that we will discuss here, so that you get a 360-degree picture of what negotiations are and that they are actually everywhere.
Period. Yes, and as we want to highlight, this is also something that we want to really get a community feel of, and it's going to be a little bit more interactive. If you guys have any comments or questions or any topics that you specifically want us to discuss, this would be the perfect platform for it. So please drop any comments, drop your like, and yes, we very much look forward to the next episode. Stay tuned. Thank you, Fabio.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for listening, and hopefully we will see each other a lot, but we will hopefully also see each other quite a lot. And until then, embrace the conflict.